I'm voting for Trump. Well, I'm a huge Tim Walz and Kamala Harris fan. Trump's the only choice for a strong America. Kamala and Tim will bring real progress.
Well, it turns out that you just can't believe everything that you see on the internet these days. I know, shocker. What's not so shocking is the fake news media leading with a story this morning making fun of Trump voters and anybody who evidently fell for this online profile named Emily Hart. Let me give you all the details. So it turns out that Emily Hart, well, she wasn't Emily Hart, and she wasn't a nurse, and she wasn't pro-Trump. Emily Hart was an AI-created bot that is some Indian medical student created on X, on Facebook, and on Instagram. And this gentleman evidently spoofed to this account and thought that and found that blondes in bikinis with American flags get a lot of traction on the internet. Go figure. He also found that this was an easy way. Evidently, he just spent about a half an hour a day on all of these accounts. He made thousands of dollars and actually started to sell some merch. So this Indian fella, he tried evidently, and this was the lead-in clip that I showed you, he tried to also do this with Biden-Harris voters, but they were too smart and didn't fall for the slop. But the truth of the matter is what I showed you in the opening clip. The Biden-Harris voters are just fat and ugly. Nobody likes anybody with a nose ring and different colored hair. I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at what this Indian medical student did, it's genius. That absolutely everybody I know likes blonde-haired women in American flag bikinis, and likes drinking beer, and likes fishing, and likes doing memes that make fun of Democrats. So I guess it was no surprise that this was a big hit. It was a big hit. Here's actually another post. Wearing a MAGA hat, drinking a beer, and I guess sitting in a pond. I don't know if there were any clues that you could pick up on that maybe this wasn't real. So let's actually get to the news story here that the New York Post led with, because it's just a typical swipe. It's a cheap, gag. Everybody knows that what we see, especially half of these bimbos on the internet, aren't even real. But evidently, Sam, this 22-year-old orthopedic surgeon in training from India, created this account, Emily Hart, and decided to sell some AI-generated images of her in a bikini while he was trying to raise some money for school. He used Gemini, which is one of Google's AI tools, and he decided to create a hot girl crafted specifically for MAGA and conservative niches, after the software told him that conservative audiences, especially older men in the United States, often have higher disposable income and are more loyal. I mean, we know that to be true because I haven't met a Biden-Harris voter or anybody on the progressive left that owns their own business or that is wealthy. They all live in their mother's basement. So this is a photo of Emily Hart, Google's doing a great job with all of their technological advances. And this is, again, how Emily Hart, the character, was born. So I'm going to scan down here towards the bottom of this article because I think it tells us a little bit more about the swipe that they're taking at the Trump voters. So every day, this guy Sam says, I'd write something pro-Christian, or pro-Second Amendment, or pro-life, or anti-woke, or anti-immigration. Yeah, that sounds about right. And the account blew up. He seemed surprised that this fake Emily Hart got to over 10,000 followers within a month. And she was actually, across all of the social media profiles he was putting her on, got millions of views and made this guy thousands of dollars. Here's another picture of Emily just sitting on some fake stairs. And again, he's making these memes here out of this character that are all kind of MAGA related. So good for Sam, I guess. Now, let's get to kind of the crux of this, because this is why it's important. There was a line here in this article that alludes to the fact that the Democrats, he tried this on the Democrats with some made-up AI account, but they were too smart. They knew that it was AI and the profiles went nowhere. But the MAGA voters, they were just too dumb. And ultimately what Sam ended up doing is that he pivoted off of the social media profiles and started to create some version of an OnlyFans profile and sold merchandise and all kinds of things. So again, I guess at the end of the day, when it looks too good to be true, it probably is. Another kind of lesson for us all is that don't believe everything that you read online. Because ultimately it sounds that the liberals were just too smart to figure this out and that the MAGA voters weren't. In fact, here you see a nice little quote from Sam saying that the MAGA crowd is just made up of dumb people, like super dumb people, and they fall for it. I don't know. I mean, I think that it might have something to do with a blonde girl in a bikini or in revealing clothing. And if you were to create some moniker for some typical progressive or liberal woman, they're going to have a nose ring and all kinds of stupid tattoos and multicolored hair. And nobody likes that when you could be looking at Emily Hart, evidently doing some ice fishing, drinking a Miller Lite. Who would you rather be with? Let me know in the comments down below. Our very next story is going to be one actually you don't want to miss. This is where I break down the battle that's going on between the rhinos and the Uniparty with John Cornyn, the incumbent senator in Texas, and the MAGA patriot Ken Paxton. In just 3.5 weeks, there's a runoff special election for what is one of the most coveted Senate seats going into the midterms. This is going to be critical for Donald Trump as he goes into the second half of his second term. He needs to have Ken Paxton in his corner, and I'm going to show you why a few of the staffers in John Cornyn's office just got fired this morning for the mistake that they made. That story's coming up next. You're not going to want to miss it.